Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We finally hit 2,000 subscribers. Big thank you to everyone for the support. Let's keep pushing and hit 3,000 subs this month. Today, we're breaking down week 2 of the NFL Sunday slate, giving predictions, spreads, totals, and player props across all the big matchups. Make sure you watch the full video, drop your predictions in the comments. Smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into it. Jacksonville Jaguars vs Cincinnati Bengals team comparison. The Jaguars come in at 1-0 after beating Carolina, but this matchup is no walk in the park. Jacksonville struggled last season against top offenses and top run defenses, and their defense gave up too many explosive plays. Meanwhile, the Bengals are also 1-0 and they've been sharp at home, especially against weaker offenses. Cincinnati relies heavily on Joe Burrow's arm, and with weapons like Jamar Chase, they can stretch defenses quickly. This feels like a game where the Bengals' efficiency on both sides of the ball gives them the upper hand. Spread: Bengals -3.5. The number is tight, but Cincinnati has a strong track record of covering against teams with losing trends like Jacksonville. The Jaguars have struggled when giving up rushing yards early, and the Bengals can take advantage late. With Burrow's consistency and a defense that can limit big plays, Bengals -3.5 feels like the sharper side. Total: over 48.5 points. This matchup leans toward the over because of how explosive Cincinnati's passing game can be, and the fact that Jacksonville tends to give up long drives. The Bengals have gone over in 14 of their last 20 games, and Burrow usually finds a way to push the scoreline higher. Even if the Jaguars stall on offense, Cincinnati has enough firepower to clear the 50-point mark, especially if both teams trade scores in the second half. Moneyline: Bengals -190. The Bengals are the safer side on the moneyline. They win at home, they dominate when facing weaker defenses, and they already beat down strong competition last year. Jacksonville may fight, but Cincinnati has the talent, the home field advantage, and the better late game execution. Player prop suggestions: Travis Hunter, over 4.5 receptions. Hunter hauled in 6 catches in week 1, and the Jags are clearly trying to feed him with short passes to get him comfortable. That volume should continue, and going over 4.5 receptions looks reasonable. Noah Fant, over 2.5 receptions. Fant grabbed 4 catches in his opener and has now gone over this number in multiple recent games. He's become a reliable option underneath for Burrow, so over 2.5 receptions looks like the right call. New York Giants vs Dallas Cowboys team comparison. The NFC East rivalry is always heated when the Giants and Cowboys face off. Dallas comes in with a strong roster led by their passing game, while the Giants are still finding their rhythm with Russell Wilson under center. Both teams are coming off competitive outings, and divisional games like this one usually bring plenty of intensity and drama. Spread: Dallas Cowboys -5.5. The Cowboys are favored by 5.5 points, and for good reason. They've got the deeper roster, explosive playmakers, and home field advantage at AT&T Stadium. While the Giants may keep it close for stretches, Dallas's ability to finish drives with touchdowns should be the difference in covering this spread. Total: over 44.5 points. This game has the makings of a higher scoring divisional battle. Dallas has a dynamic passing attack with CeeDee Lamb, while the Giants have Malik Nabers stepping up and Russell Wilson adding rushing yards. Both teams are capable of explosive plays, and in rivalry games momentum swings fast. That's why we like this one to go over 44.5 points. Moneyline: Dallas Cowboys. Straight up, the Cowboys have the edge. They've won 6 straight meetings against the Giants at home and have the talent advantage on both sides of the ball. Dallas should be able to take care of business and protect home field with another win. Player prop suggestions: CeeDee Lamb, over 78.5 receiving yards. Lamb hauled in 110 yards on 7 catches in his last outing. He's clearly the focal point of this offense, and his consistent target share makes the over a strong look here. Russell Wilson over 14.5 rushing yards. Wilson rushed for 44 yards in week 1, showing he still has the legs to extend plays. Against Dallas's defense, his scrambling ability should give him enough chances to clear 14.5 yards on the ground. Chicago Bears versus Detroit Lions team comparison. This NFC North matchup is all about storylines. The Bears come into this one with rookie head coach Ben Johnson returning to Detroit, now facing his former team in a revenge spot. Chicago struggled late in their Monday Night Football opener, while Detroit is trying to bounce back after looking flat against Green Bay in Week 1. The Lions are healthier, at home inside Ford Field, and still one of the most dangerous offenses in the NFC when their run game is clicking. The Bears, meanwhile, are dealing with defensive injuries and trying to lean on Caleb Williams to spark the offense. Spread: Detroit Lions -6.5. Detroit is favored by 5.5 points, and that feels justified. The Lions have the stronger offensive line, a more balanced attack with Montgomery and Gibbs, and the advantage of being at home. Chicago has the firepower to stay close for a while, but their banged-up defense may not hold up 4 full quarters. Total: over 46.5 points. This one has shootout potential. The Lions are expected to establish their run game early, but Jared Goff has enough weapons to push the ball downfield. On the other side, Caleb Williams and DJ Moore can stretch Detroit's secondary, especially in garbage time scenarios. With both teams capable of big plays, the over 46.5 is very live here. Moneyline, Detroit Lions, straight up, the Lions have the edge. They're coming home with motivation to quiet critics after the Packers' loss, and Ford Field is one of the toughest places to play in the NFC. Chicago is still finding its rhythm under a new system, while Detroit should be sharper in this bounce-back spot. Player prop suggestions: Jahmyr Gibbs over 3.5 receptions. Gibbs had 10 catches in Week 1, and Detroit loves using him as a safety valve out of the backfield. Expect Goff to keep looking his way, especially on short passes to set the tone early. DJ Moore over 52.5 receiving yards. Moore opened the year with 68 yards on 3 grabs and remains the clear WR1 for Chicago. Even if the Bears fall behind, his role ensures he'll get enough opportunities to clear this number. Los Angeles Rams versus Tennessee Titans. Team comparison. The Rams are coming off a 14-9 win over Houston, and while it wasn't flashy, it showed they can control the game when needed. Matthew Stafford looks sharp with over 240 yards and a touchdown, showing that his back injury isn't slowing him down. On the other side, the Titans struggled badly in Week 1 against Denver. Rookie quarterback Cam Ward completed just 12 of 28 passes with no touchdowns and a lost fumble. Tennessee looks like a team still trying to figure things out, while the Rams are playing like a team ready to stack wins early. Spread: Rams -5.5. The Rams are favored by 5.5 points, and it makes sense. Their defense held CJ Stroud in check last week, and now they face a rookie quarterback who hasn't found his rhythm yet. Add in Stafford's efficient play and the Rams' ability to finish drives, and they have every reason to cover. Total: under 41.5 points. The total sits at 41.5, and this game has the feel of a grind. The Rams' defense is stout, and the Titans' offense isn't putting up big numbers with Ward under center. Unless Stafford goes off, this looks like a slower-paced game that falls under the number. Moneyline: Rams. The money line favors Los Angeles, and for good reason. Tennessee just doesn't have the offensive consistency to keep up right now. With Stafford healthy and the Rams defense forcing mistakes, Los Angeles is in position to get their second straight win. Player prop suggestions: Puka Nacua, over 6.5 receptions. Nacua hauled in 10 catches for 130 yards last week, and Stafford clearly trusts him as the go-to option. Against this Titans secondary, he should once again see a heavy workload, making 7 or more catches very realistic. Joey Sly, over 1.5 field goals made. For Tennessee, points may come from the kicker more than the offense. Sly nailed 4 field goals last week and accounted for all the Titans' points. With a struggling offense, expect Tennessee to settle for field goals again, giving Sly another chance to clear 1.5 makes. New England Patriots versus Miami Dolphins. Team comparison. The Patriots enter Week 2 at 0-1 after struggling on both sides of the ball in their opener. Their offense leaned heavily on the pass, throwing more than 67% of the time, but they still managed just 3.7 yards per play in key stretches. Defensively, they gave up explosive plays. allowing nearly 10 yards per dropback last week. On the other side, the Dolphins also come in at 0-1, but still have plenty of firepower. They threw the ball more than 2/3 of the time and are expected to lean again on Tua Tagovailoa in the passing attack. While both teams are looking for their first win, Miami gets the edge with home field advantage and a more balanced roster. Spread: Dolphins -1.5. Miami is favored by just 1.5 points, and that slim margin makes sense for a divisional rivalry. The Dolphins are strong at Hard Rock Stadium, hitting the first half money line in 5 straight home games, while the Patriots have struggled when forced into pass-heavy game scripts. With their defense allowing 9 receptions of 20-plus yards just last week, New England could be in trouble against Tyreek Hill and Miami's speed. Total: over 42.5 points. The over divided by under is set at 44, and this game has sneaky potential to go over. The Patriots have hit the game total over in 13 of their last 20 games, and Miami's offense is always capable of putting up points quickly. Even if both teams make mistakes, turnovers could set up short fields, keeping the scoring higher than expected. Moneyline: Dolphins. Miami is the slight moneyline favorite, and with their ability to create explosive plays, they should be trusted at home. The Patriots are winless in their last 7 games after a win and continue to rank among the league's worst in yards per play. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have consistently closed out fourth quarters strong, covering spreads late in games. That late game edge should carry them to the outright win. Player prop suggestions: Stefon Diggs, over 3.5 receptions. Diggs hauled in 6 catches last week and continues to be the go-to target for New England's passing game. With the Patriots throwing at one of the highest rates in the NFL, he should see enough volume to clear this number again. Tua Tagovailoa, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Despite a rough outing in Week 1, Tua has the weapons to bounce back quickly. With Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and a backfield that can catch passes, there are plenty of red zone options. At home, he's in position to throw multiple scores and get Miami into the win column. San Francisco 49ers versus New Orleans Saints. Team comparison. The 49ers are dealing with a wave of injuries despite opening the season with a win over Seattle. Christian McCaffrey carried the load with 142 scrimmage yards, but Brock Purdy left hurt and will miss time, putting backup Mac Jones under center. San Francisco is also without George Kittle and Jawan Jennings, leaving their passing game thin. Even with the injuries, the 49ers outgained Seattle 384-230, and their defense looked sharp. The Saints showed fight in Week 1 under new head coach Kellen Moore, but their offense was shaky. Spencer Rattler threw for 214 yards on 46 attempts, and the team committed 12 costly penalties. Cam Jordan filled in for Chase Young and still made an impact, but the overall discipline wasn't there. Both teams went under the total last week, and the Saints lost their opener for the first time in 7 years. Spread: Saints plus 3.5. San Francisco comes in as the favorite, but with Purdy, Kittle, and Jennings out, this offense is limited. Backup Mac Jones can manage, but he doesn't bring the same ceiling. The Saints, despite their struggles, are at home and could keep this close with their defense. Total: under 40.5 points. Both teams went under their totals last week, and the injuries on San Francisco's side point toward another low-scoring matchup. New Orleans also struggled to finish drives cleanly, and penalties killed momentum. With two offenses digging for consistency, the under looks realistic. Moneyline: Saints plus 145. Even though the 49ers are favored, New Orleans at home has upset potential. The 49ers' injuries and reliance on McCaffrey make them vulnerable, while the Saints should clean up some of their mistakes from last week. A 17-13 type game fits here, and that leans toward the home underdog. Player prop suggestions: Christian McCaffrey, over 4.5 receptions. He had 9 catches last week, and with Purdy out and other weapons missing, he'll continue to be the safety valve in the passing game. Expect heavy usage again. Blake Group, over 1.5 field goals made. The Saints stalled often in Week 1, and Group knocked down 2 kicks. If the offense continues to struggle in the red zone, he'll get multiple attempts again here. Buffalo Bills versus New York Jets. Team comparisons: the Bills are riding high after their comeback win against Baltimore. erasing a 15-point deficit in the final 4 minutes. Josh Allen showed why he's one of the league's top quarterbacks, and Buffalo's offense looks dangerous when it gets rolling. Their red zone efficiency has been excellent against the Jets in the past, scoring touchdowns on 6 of 7 trips last season. The Jets, meanwhile, dropped their opener to the Steelers on a late field goal. Discipline has been a big problem, with double-digit penalties in past matchups against Buffalo and another 7 last week for 74 yards. Offensively, Justin Fields gave them hope, throwing for 218 yards and showing flashes both in the air and on the ground. Still, against Buffalo's defense, consistency will be key. Spread, Bills -6.5. Buffalo's explosive offense and their history of controlling the Jets in the red zone make them the stronger side here. The Jets will try to keep it close with Fields extending plays, but penalties and stalled drives could hold them back. With Allen in rhythm and the Bills' defense looking to sharpen up, Buffalo has the edge to cover the 6.5-point spread. Total, over 46.5 points. This matchup leans toward the over because of Buffalo's ability to stretch the field and the Jets' potential to put up points behind Fields' dual threat play. The Bills have consistently played in high-scoring matchups, and even if the Jets trail, garbage time drives can add to the total. A back-and-forth second half could easily push this over the 46.5 mark. Moneyline, Buffalo Bills. The moneyline odds matter less here, but Buffalo still comes in as the more reliable, straight-up choice. They've already shown resilience in Week 1, while the Jets are still searching for an identity with Fields at the helm. Player prop suggestions. Justin Fields, over 189.5 passing yards. Fields threw for 218 yards last week and looked comfortable pushing the ball downfield. Against the Bills defense that struggled early against Baltimore, he has a good chance to clear 190 yards again, especially if New York falls behind and has to throw. Dalton Kincaid, over 2.5 receptions. Kincaid had 4 catches on 4 targets against Baltimore and continues to be a steady option for Allen in short to intermediate routes. Clear 3 grabs. Seattle Seahawks versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Team comparison. The Steelers opened their season with a wild 3-4-3-2 win over the Jets. Aaron Rodgers looked sharp, throwing 4 touchdown passes in his debut while the offense showed flashes of big play ability. Still, Pittsburgh knows their defense and offensive line have to clean things up heading into this matchup. Seattle, on the other hand, struggled in Week 1 against San Francisco, falling 1-7-1-3. Sam Darnold couldn't get much going, and the offense leaned too heavily on the ground game without much success. Historically, the Seahawks have been strong on the road under Mike Macdonald, but this is a tough trip against a confident Pittsburgh team. Spread, Steelers -3.5. Rodgers' command of the offense is the difference maker here. Seattle's line issues make it tough for Darnold to keep pace, and Pittsburgh has weapons to stretch the field. With momentum from Week 1 and the home crowd behind them, the Steelers have the edge to cover. Total, over 39.5 points. Both teams had contrasting Week 1 performances, but the matchup sets up for more scoring. Rodgers has proven he can still carve up defenses, and Seattle should be able to find spots with DK Metcalf and their rushing attack. The line is set relatively low, and this game has the pieces to push past 40 combined points. Moneyline, Steelers. Pittsburgh is in better form heading into Week 2, and Rodgers' debut showed this offense is legit. Seattle's defense will compete, but their offensive inconsistencies make it hard to trust them outright on the road. The safer straight-up pick is Pittsburgh. Player prop suggestions. Kenneth Walker III, over 1.5 receptions. Walker caught 3 passes in Week 1 despite Seattle's offense being limited overall. With Darnold under pressure and forced to check down often, Walker should again be a reliable short yardage target. Clearing 2 receptions feels within reach given his usage. Aaron Rodgers, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns in his Steelers debut, spreading the ball around and taking deep shots effectively. Even if Seattle's defense forces longer drives, Rodgers' efficiency in the red zone gives him a strong chance to toss multiple scores again. Cleveland Browns versus Baltimore Ravens, team comparison. The Browns earned some respect after holding Cincinnati's offense to just 141 yards in Week 1, but still found a way to lose. Joe Flacco looks solid, yet Cleveland has a history of stumbling in key divisional games. The Ravens are coming off a crushing loss to Buffalo, where they gave up a late lead. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry still produced, but Baltimore needs to prove it can finish strong. At home, this feels like a bounce-back spot for a team that most analysts still view as a top AFC contender. Spread: Ravens negative 11.5. Baltimore is a heavy favorite for good reason. With Jackson and Henry leading the offense and home field advantage on their side, the Ravens should be able to separate. Cleveland's defense is scrappy, but unless Flacco can string together big plays, it's hard to see them staying within 2 scores. Total: over 44.5 points. This total sets up for a higher scoring divisional matchup. Baltimore's offense can erupt when Lamar and Henry get rolling, and Cleveland's passing attack should do enough to contribute to the scoreboard. If the game tilts into a back and forth in the second half, it's very possible to push past the 44.5 mark. Moneyline: Baltimore Ravens. The moneyline odds aren't as appealing given the widespread, but Baltimore is still the side to trust outright. They're at home, motivated to bounce back, and simply have more offensive firepower than Cleveland. Player prop suggestions: Derrick Henry, over 0.5 rush plus rec touchdowns. Henry was dominant last week with 169 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Baltimore leans heavily on him in the red zone, and his workload gives him a strong chance to score again. Expect him to be a focal point against a tough Cleveland front. Jerry Jeudy, over 4.5 receptions. Jeudy hauled in 5 catches for 66 yards in Week 1 and is quickly becoming a reliable target in Cleveland's offense. Facing a Ravens defense that allowed 389 passing yards in their opener, Jeudy should see steady volume. Going over his catch line feels very attainable. Denver Broncos versus Indianapolis Colts. Team comparison: the Broncos enter Week 2 with what analysts are calling one of the best defenses in the NFL. They opened with a win, and the consensus among experts is that Denver's defense is good enough to keep Daniel Jones and the Colts in check. The Colts, on the other hand, are riding momentum from their Week 1 win behind Daniel Jones, who looked sharp with 3 total touchdowns. But analysts remain skeptical. Most point out that last week's big numbers came against Miami, and Denver's defense is a much stiffer test. Spread: Broncos negative 1.5. Denver is favored by a field goal or less, and experts lean toward the Broncos to cover. Their defensive front should create pressure on Jones, limiting his efficiency compared to last week. With the line small, Denver's balance on both sides of the ball makes them the safer side. Total: over 43.5 points. While both defenses can make plays, the total is not particularly high. The Colts offense showed explosiveness in Week 1, and Daniel Jones' ability to scramble and extend plays can generate points. Meanwhile, Denver's defense may force turnovers that give their offense short fields. That combination suggests the over is a realistic outcome. Moneyline: Broncos. Denver is viewed as having the better quarterback situation with Bo Nix and the stronger defense overall. Indianapolis at home keeps it close, but the majority of expert picks favor Denver straight up. Player prop suggestions: Daniel Jones, over 208.5 passing yards. Jones threw for 272 yards in Week 1 with accuracy and mobility, adding another 26 on the ground. Even against Denver's tougher defense, his volume and dual threat play should help him push past this number again. Bo Nix, under 226.5 passing yards. Nix struggled with efficiency in the opener, throwing for 176 yards on 40 attempts with 2 interceptions. Denver may lean more on its defense and running game in this matchup, limiting Nix's passing total. Staying under 226.5 looks likely. Carolina Panthers versus Arizona Cardinals. Team comparison: the Panthers opened their season with a demoralizing loss to the Jaguars, and questions are already swirling about whether this roster can compete under new head coach Dave Canales. Bryce Young and the offense struggled, and fans are frustrated by recurring issues. Carolina is already under pressure to respond, but doing so on the road won't be easy. The Cardinals, meanwhile, started 2025 with a solid win over the Saints. Kyler Murray looked sharp, and the team's playmakers Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and James Conner give Arizona a balanced attack. Backed by a defense led by Budda Baker, the Cardinals are being talked about as a sneaky postseason contender. Spread: Cardinals -6.5. Arizona is favored by nearly a touchdown, and that's a fair number given how the Panthers looked in Week 1. The Cardinals' dual-threat offense, paired with a defense that can create turnovers, makes them the stronger side to cover at home. Total: over 44.5 points. Oddsmakers set the line expecting a modest scoring game, but both teams have paths to push this higher. Arizona's playmakers can break big plays, and Carolina may find themselves forced into a faster pace if they fall behind. That combination leans toward the over being in play. Moneyline: Cardinals. Arizona is heavily favored, and for good reason. Murray's mobility and weapons on the outside give the Cardinals an edge, while Carolina is still searching for stability. A road upset by the Panthers would be a shock, making Arizona the more likely outright winner. Player prop suggestions: Kyler Murray, over 26.5 rushing yards. Murray's ability to escape the pocket has always been a weapon. He ran for 38 yards in the opener and has consistently gone over this line in similar spots. Against a Panthers defense that just gave up over 200 rushing yards, his legs should once again be a factor. Chuba Hubbard, over 0.5. Anytime touchdown. Hubbard was one of the lone bright spots for Carolina in Week 1, finishing with 57 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown. With limited offensive options around him, Hubbard is likely to be leaned on in the red zone, giving him a solid chance to find the end zone again. Philadelphia Eagles versus Kansas City Chiefs. Team comparison. These two teams know each other well after 5 straight seasons of meetings, including 2 recent Super Bowls. The momentum tilt favors Philadelphia. The Eagles handled last year's Super Bowl comfortably and opened 2025 with a win, while Kansas City is 0-1 after the Brazil trip. Patrick Mahomes is still Mahomes, but Kansas City's wide receiver group is thin with Rice suspended and both Worthy and Royals banged up. That puts even more weight on Travis Kelce and Marquise Brown. For Philadelphia, the passing game should open up with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, while the defensive front gets a lift with Jalen Carter back in the mix after last week's drama. Spread: Eagles -1.5. Philadelphia has the cleaner matchup edges right now. Deeper pass catching options, a front that can compress Mahomes' pocket, and fewer availability questions. Even with Arrowhead noise, the Chiefs are relying on Kelce and a patchwork wide receiver group to keep pace with an Eagles attack that can win in multiple ways. A one-score cover is reasonable given how often Philly has dictated these recent meetings. Total: over 46.5. Both quarterbacks stress defenses in different ways. Jalen Hurts with vertical shots and run-pass options, Patrick Mahomes with off-script explosive plays and scrambles. Even if Kansas City is short at wideout, Kelce and Brown can move the chains, and Mahomes' legs raise the explosive play floor. Philadelphia's receivers against a defense that just gave up 27 in Week 1 also nudges this toward a high 40s outcome. Moneyline: Eagles. In a near pick'em, lean toward the healthier, more balanced offense with the better recent form. Philadelphia has won the last 2 head-to-head matchups outside of Arrowhead and enters with fewer unknowns at the skill spots. If it's tight late, the Eagles' offensive versatility with Brown, Smith, and Barkley gives them more paths to close. Player prop suggestions: Saquon Barkley over 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Philadelphia used Barkley at the goal line and in the screen game, and Kansas City's focus on the perimeter threats can open middle of the field scoring looks. In a game projected into the high 40s, the Eagles should see multiple red zone trips, elevating Barkley's touchdown probability. His dual usage as both a runner and checkdown target provides 2 avenues to cash. Patrick Mahomes over 23.5 rushing yards. With receiver depth thin and the Eagles' pass rush closing fast, Mahomes' scramble rate is likely to tick up exactly what we saw in Week 1. Design movement plus broken play escapes routinely push him into the mid-20s to 40-plus range in big games. 1 or 2 extended scrambles can clear this number. Atlanta Falcons versus Minnesota Vikings. Team comparison. This Sunday night matchup is a fun one. 2 young quarterbacks drafted back-to-back in 2024. Michael Penix Jr. for Atlanta and J.J. McCarthy for Minnesota. The Vikings come in 1-0 after McCarthy stunned the Bears with a late comeback, throwing 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns on the road. The Falcons, meanwhile, dropped a close one to Tampa Bay despite Penix's gutsy 18-play drive capped by a highlight touchdown run. Both QBs showed flashes, but the Vikings get the edge with home field advantage and a defensive scheme under Brian Flores that blitzes at one of the highest rates in the league. Atlanta will lean on Bijan Robinson and their skill guys to keep things close, but the Vikings have more momentum heading into this one. Spread: Vikings -3.5. Minnesota's defense is built to disrupt inexperienced quarterbacks, and Penix has struggled against the blitz in limited starts. With McCarthy settling into his first home start, the energy in US Bank Stadium could be the difference. Expect a one-score game, but the Vikings defense tips the scale toward a cover. Total: over 44.5. Both offenses have explosive playmakers: Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison for Minnesota, Robinson and Drake London for Atlanta. Penix is aggressive downfield, and McCarthy has already shown he can rally an offense when trailing. Even with 2 young QBs, this game sets up for enough big plays to push past the mid-40s total. Moneyline Vikings. Atlanta has the weapons to make it competitive, but Minnesota's home field edge and stronger defensive pressure make them the safer side. The Vikings are also coming off an emotional road win, and momentum favors them in this quarterback showcase. Player prop suggestions: JJ McCarthy, under 223.5 passing yards. McCarthy looked sharp in his debut, but the Vikings may not ask him to air it out as much in his home opener. Expect a balanced approach with Dalvin Cook or their ground game rotation, helping control tempo. Under 223.5 is reasonable given how Minnesota wants to protect their young QB. Bijan Robinson over 3.5 receptions. Robinson hauled in 6 catches for 100 yards in Week 1, reminding everyone how dangerous he is as a receiver. With Minnesota's blitz packages likely forcing Penix into quick throws, Robinson should see plenty of checkdowns and screens, making 4+ catches very attainable. That's going to wrap up our Week 2 Sunday preview. Once again, thank you all for helping us get to 2,000 subscribers. You guys are the reason we keep building this community. Let's keep the energy rolling to 3,000 subs by the end of the month. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below who you think takes it on Sunday Football.